Yo, what's up? Bob here. Welcome to the Bob Bradley YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a record sale that I recently attended. This wasn't an ordinary record sale. This was a record sale put on by our local public radio station, Wfpk 91.9, a Louisville institution. At one time, Wfpk played all kinds of classical and jazz music on the radio here. As time has gone on, now they play very little. On Saturday at 9 a.m., they decided they were going to have a big record sale, 12,000 records, mostly classical, some jazz. I thought we would go down there, get there early, and be some of the first people to dig through those crates. Unfortunately, as we arrived, I noticed that they had started letting people in quite early. So there was 150 buck wild record collectors in there who had checked etiquette at the door, just grabbing records, because everything was $1. Every record was $1. There were lots of boxes there, classical box sets there. I think they were between $3 and $5, but the single records were $1. There were about 4 tables of jazz boxes. That was my goal, is to get near that. I eventually did and got a stack of records.
We're here at the WFPK 91.9 record sale, mostly classical, but some jazz. I'm doing all right.
It turns out, not everyone has the same taste in music as I do, so they left some pretty cool stuff behind, to my calculations. So, without further ado, let's get started. As I walked into the alley, there was like 100 people around the 4 tables of jazz. So I thought I would hang back a little bit. I saw a box over here with a piece of paper on it that said oddities. I thought I would look through that first. And I pulled this. Basil Rathbone reads Edgar Allan Poe. Pretty cool record. Really dig the artwork on the front. A little bit of damage here to the cover, but the vinyl is super nice. Very cool looking label here. Yeah. You get classic Edgar Allan Poe things like the Raven on here, but it's just Basil Rathbone reading the stories. There's no sound effects or anything. It's just him. You can hear he's in kind of a large space and nice microphone. Just reading his little heart out. I finally squeezed my way into the jazz area and immediately pulled this. Coleman Hawkins, The Gilded Hawk. Now, it has some green tape around the edge here. I looked inside the jacket. There's no splits. I guess they were trying to prevent it from splitting by adding this green tape. I don't know. We do have some ringwear here on the front, and it is a early reissue on that aqua green capital label. It's a beautiful sounding record. That said, it is dinner music. It's Coleman. He's playing over a large symphony orchestra. Beautiful strings and arrangements are happening, and he's just playing the shit out of a saxophone. Great, great sounding record. Next, I pulled this one. Jimmy Rainey and Doug Rainey, those are Louisville natives. Jazz guitar virtuoso, Jimmy Rainey. And his tribute to Bill Evans, Nardis. This is on Steeplechase. Very cool label here. Steeplechase. Now I know what you're thinking.
Bob, Nardis is a Miles Davis tune.
Yeah, I know. But as you can see, it says right here, to Bill Evans, because Bill Evans often played Nardis as a centerpiece of some of his shows. You know, Bill was hanging out with Cannonball, and Nardis appears on a Cannonball record very early on. And Miles and Bill were good friends and played together, obviously. So, that's the connection there. And Jimmy and Doug decided they were going to do this beautiful jazz guitar record called Nardis. Really, really beautiful sounding record. If you see this, grab it quick. It's really great. Next. I'd been looking through all the boxes. Wasn't finding much. It had been picked over pretty hard. I had friends there who were holding upwards of 50 records in their arms because they had gotten there way early and got to go in way early. I'm talking to you, Dwight. I hit a little pocket of Pablo records. And I do love Pablo. You know, it's from a period, mid-70s to the 80s, where primarily all the recordings were digital, and they were very well done, and a lot of live recordings. So they're kind of, these guys are up there on stage improvising, and the recordings are quite nice sounding. I mean, these are, for all intents and purposes, audiophile records. The first one that I found was Pablo Live, Montreux, 77, Oscar Peterson, and the bassist. Bassist, plural. Ray Brown, Niles Pedersen. I'm going to go with Pedersen. I don't know. It looks just like this. Typical Pablo cover. Typical Pablo label. Oscar Peterson, absolutely shredding on this. Beautiful sounding recording. Clearly awesome bass playing. This is a great record. You could probably find this for $5 to $10. Definitely snag it if you do. Digital 3 at Montreux. Ella Fitzgerald, Joe Pass, and Count Basie. Now, I've seen this record around before. Yeah, it's usually about $7 or something. And it is on red vinyl Pablo label. Fantastic sounding record, by the way. Sounds incredible. Great sounding record. Yeah. Whatever you want to say about later period Ella, but this is great sounding. We're about to move into a heavy solo jazz guitar thing here. Yeah. On Pablo, Joe Pass. Absolute jazz guitar virtuoso of the highest. Here is Joe Pass and Jimmy Rowles. Rouse. We're going to go with Rowles. Checkmate. Jazz guitar, piano record. Great. Also, red vinyl. Audiophile recording. Just absolutely absurd sounding. The first of the Joe Pass Virtuoso records that I've been able to acquire for my collection. Virtuoso 2. I think there might be 4 of these. So I'm going to try to put the collection together here. Get all 4 of the Virtuoso records. But number 2 was the first one that I got for $1. Probably won't be able to do that again. Yeah, that's solo jazz guitar. Sounds incredible. Here we go. Ira, George, and Joe. Joe Pass loves Gershwin. This is an ensemble record. Killer cover. Love that. Joe playing his favorite Gershwin tunes. Yeah, really good. I like this purple and white Pablo label too. North Sea Nights Pablo Live. This is just incredible. Just ripping bass, ripping guitar on Pablo. Beautiful recording. The whole deal. It's so good. It's really, that easily was my favorite of the 11 records. Last but not least, for $1, I couldn't say no. Clean vinyl, decent cover, Solo Flight, the genius of Charlie Christian. If you're a guitar player, you should be checking out Charlie Christian to some degree. Now, most of these recordings are from 39, 40, so they don't sound like a modern recording. That said, it's more about honoring and becoming familiar with Charlie Christian's work. This is a double album. $1? Yeah, sure. I'm all in. Cool cover, by the way. On that, Columbia 360. That's 360 around the label, not 360 2i. We've got little catalog number up here, going down the side. And then inside here, you have some handwritten notes and stuff that probably the DJs were making to remind themselves of factoids about the record. Yeah. Nice little stack. Bam. Lots and lots of Pablo, clearly. But there were some gems there at the cell. I did see one fella pull that Strata East record.
Pretty good Strata East, alright.
And there were some people there with some serious stacks. I would love to have seen what they got. They claim that they're going to do some more of these cells in the future, so maybe they'll do the more jazz, maybe some rock stuff. I don't know, but definitely be there with bells on.